Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this evening show, this Wednesday evening, and thank you already for so many of the people that have joined us. Today, I have a special guest. Now, this is the first time that we've collaborated, and he's quite new to YouTube. A few of you may know or recognize his face because he collaborated quite recently with Linda G. And I actually saw that collaboration. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was so interesting. So I thought, hey, why not have you come on the show so people on YouTube can get to know you better? His full name is actually Kevin Lewis. You don't use your real name most of the time, though, do you? It's mainly the healing medium, or is it a bit of both?
Or just Kevin. Yeah, either or. I'm pretty open.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Kevin is here this evening, and tonight the main focus on the show. We're going to look at what are the essentially the astrological factors that actually go into making a person psychic. So for me as an astrologer, I can look at people's chart and I can see what makes them psychic or not. There are certain factors, many factors. Obviously, many people are psychic, but there is definite ones which Kevin has. He doesn't know. Yeah. So I've pulled up his chart. He doesn't know really what I'm going to say.
Not a clue.
So he's going to be on tenterhooks there. You folks know me by now. I like to make sure, guests, never quite know what's coming their way. And what we're going to do, Kevin, we're going to basically start from your first house from the ascendant, and we're going to work our way around. I've made notes down the side here of your chart. Hopefully everyone can actually see the symbols in the glyphs, but I will read out the planets. So I'll do that. And after we've had a look at your chart, we'll also take some questions and then just have a bit of a chit chat. And of course, if you get any psychic hits and stuff like that, maybe on my side or just for anything, feel free to interject. So Kevin is extremely brave, and he shared his chart with me. And of course, I do Vedic astrology, Neo-Vedic astrology. So we're looking at it from those placements. So let's begin. Are you ready?
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much, Hogarth, for having me on your channel. We met a couple of weeks ago and we had a great call and conversation, and just acknowledging your idea for this. I love it, and I fully trust in it. Was an easy yes for me in stepping into it. And we were actually just talking about that, where sometimes it's like, okay, we need more info, but I knew instantly it was the right decision. So I'm excited and a little bit nervous, and I love it.
A little bit nervous is good. A little bit nervous is good. And there's a few of you here already as well. So I'll just do, so we've got Priscilla. We've got some new names here as well. Seascape and Joyce Clark. And many of you are here joining us now. So thank you so much for being here. Right. So in astrology, there's no cookie cutter way, as it were, to look at a chart. But standardly, you would look at the first house of a chart, because the first house actually represents the physical birth of that person, particularly in Vedic astrology. So any planet or planets in the first house in a person's chart makes a big impact, because the first house sets up the whole of the chart. So let me I just realized I need to get a little diagram thing here. So can you see this? Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a little diagram of a wheel that you get on a boat. Yeah, a wheel that you get on the boat. And what is these are the angular houses. So the angular houses have strength, have power. So I want you to imagine it's like this. So you've got the first house, fourth house, seventh house, and 10th house. So any planets or planet in those angles pick up strength. Yeah, it's like they've got their steering wheel on the hand of your on the wheel of your life, in a way. Then you've got the trinal houses, and those are 9, 5, and 1, and they deal with luck and dharma and stuff like that. So the first house is both an angle and a trine. So any planet or planets in the first house have a huge say. And for you, it's the moon. Right, it's the moon. Now, already whenever anyone has got the moon in the first house, that sensitizes a person a lot. So already, even if I hadn't had a chat with you before, if this was literally just me first time meeting you, I would know immediately, because the moon is here in the first house, that you're already a very sensitive and psychic person. Yeah? Because that's what the moon represents. The moon represents the mind overall. Yeah, it represents the mind and the emotions overall. It's our most sensitive part of the chart, represents our childhood, yeah, the past, our instincts and our talents, and it also represents our mother. The moon, actually, planets are people, believe it or not. So here, when we look, so first of all, your rising sign, according to Vedic astrology, now in tropical, which you may know, you would have your rising sign as Capricorn. Yeah.
Oh, yes, which I've been told. Yeah.
Right. But no, you are not a Capricorn. You are a Sagittarius rising.
Interesting.
You're a Sagittarius. Now, what is Sagittarius? Sagittarius is all about what? It's the truth seeker. Sagittarius, along with Pisces and, the sign of Cancer and stuff like that, is a very spiritual sign. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. So already, this is already probably kind of playing a little bit with your head, aren't you? Because you're like, what? I've always identified as a Capricorn. It's like, throw that out the window. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not completely. So here, so you see where these two lines here. So how is the rising sign decided? So this was the sign that was rising on the eastern horizon at the time that you were born. And when you were born and when you took your first breath, that was very much where the energy of the stars, or the starlight of the stars, what the ancient calls Shakti, your soul was imbibed with that energy. Yeah. And your rising sign is in the nakshatra Mula. And the nakshatras are star clusters, everyone. There's 27 of them. And they're these asterisms. So wherever the planets are, or the ascendant is, they take on the flavor of that part of the sky. Does that make sense so far? Right. Okay. So what have I written down for you? Here we are. So here we are. Moon in the first house here. This is the chart going 1 all the way round to 12. So here I've put here Kima Druma Moon. Well, this means something. In the first house. And it is in, what have I put here? And it's in Anuradha Nakshatra. No, why am I on talking? Purva Ashada, forgive me. And that means earlier victory. So what it means is people who've got planets in Purva Ashada, they can show a prodigious talent quite young and early. So when did your psychic gifts begin, Kevin?
Yeah, exactly that. My early childhood, my most early childhood memories, I have more of a knowing in the reflection of it than I did maybe in the moment as a child. And what's interesting about that with the moon, I have, and that being within my first house, if I heard it right, and the sensitivity that goes along with it, I would say the last 10 years, I've really been more affected, if you will, by the moon cycle. And before that, I actually didn't, I would say like, oh no, it never really affects me. And what's interesting, the correlation would be in the last 10 years, I've stepped into these abilities, if you will, in a very different way. So it's interesting how I'm not surprised at the sensitivity. It's that much more heightened in the last 10 years of being in it. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what's standing out there for me. But yeah.
Indeed, and I'll just click up on some comments here. So we've got some coming in here already. So saying,
Seascape.
And look at that little picture of that dog, which literally
so cute.
Teddy bear, so cute. Oh my god! I want to jump into the screen. So we've got people here. Let's see. So some people saying hello to others. We've got light vocation here. I think we've got a question that we're going to read out that you gave us, light vocation. Thanks for that. So Kevin, thank you for volunteering. chart for us all to learn from.
Yeah, light vocation, that's exactly it, because there's so much learning that's for us all in it. So we might have aspects of the similar. So Hogarth, thank you. Thank you for being so
No
generous in
problem.
this.
No, thank
Wonderful.
you. Thank you. No problem at all. So here, so in many ways, the first house, particularly when there's a planet in there, it will describe the essence of a person so well, because really for us, particularly in, well, even in Western astrology, well, the first house is the body. Yeah, it's the body. So so even though I have a Cancer rising sign, like I've got Mars in the first house. And Mars is what? Energy, action, all of this different stuff. I played a lot of sport when I was a kid. I wanted to be a tennis player, etc. All of this stuff. And I've always been really quite athletic my whole life as well. I also heat up very quickly as well. Mars is like a hot planet. So I'm always too warm and I like things cool. With you, you've got the moon. The moon is a cool planet. She's known as is kind of cool and wet. Essentially, is the nature of the moon. It's very porous, very absorbing. The moon absorbs everything. So of course, this is why there's so much sensitivity there. But what's really interesting, if we actually look at your ascendant point here, which is at 8 degrees and 1 minute of the nakshatra, which is called Mula. Yeah. So this is your actual rising sign. The moon is in Uttara Ashada, but your rising sign when you were actually born was in the asterism of Mula. Now, this is very interesting. So here, so I'll finish off what I was reading before, and then we'll talk about Mula. So Kima Druma Moon, that's it, in the first house. Purvara Ashada, and I put here, the deity here is Apas. Yeah, which is god of the ocean and the celestial waters, or the sacred waters, rather. Yeah. And I put here, relative to the ocean of love and devotion that flows from the heart. Yeah, so this is a very compassionate part of Sagittarius, and of course, you know, you do healing stuff. And here is where we nurture the seeds planted in the tearing up of the roots in Mula Nakshatra, which was just before. So your actual ascendant point, Mula means roots, yeah?
Okay.
But it also means to tear up by the roots. It's quite a tumultuous nakshatra, yeah? Anyone who's got planets here or their ascendant here will have times in their life that have been very testing and tumultuous in some kind of way. Now, you don't have to go into full details about this. Feel free to describe whatever you feel comfortable about, but I'll just read for you a little bit more about Mula. So Mula, so it deals with upheavals, tearing up by the roots. So this is, what have I got here? Sometimes living and visiting abroad. I know that's probably been a big factor in your life.
Yeah.
Because it means tearing up by the roots. Yes, it means moving around.
Yeah.
Also as well here, the deity here is the goddess Nriti, which is also equivalent to Kali. Yeah. So the goddess Nriti, she is known as the goddess of destruction. And you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, what is this about? It's about destroying illusions. Yeah?
Oh, I love it.
Destroying illusions. So yeah, but so destroys illusions. But while Mula is also the nakshatra, but also as well, Mula is also the nakshatra of healers. And also having unconventional friends and situations. So you were nodding with that. So please elaborate on that for what you feel comfortable to share.
I think all of it. I mean, from the beginning with the water, the water stands out for me. My connection with being close to the water when I'm around it. I literally live on an island, and so
wow,
yeah, literally. And so the grounding and the support I feel from the water, whether it be the lakes or the ocean, is like nothing else. And the uprooting, what comes to mind is I've actually in the UK and some other countries in the world that I've traveled to, I feel like it's home. And it's a hard one to put into words, but it's like, it's so far away from home, but there's this familiarity and this connection, specifically England being one of them, that I feel at home there, which is almost unexplainable. I've maybe been there, I don't know, half a dozen times in my life, maybe a few times more, and for the most, a week to 10 days. But yeah, there's something about that reminds me of that, in that, and then the illusion part of it, I love that.
How's that relevant for you? Because here the moon is strong because there are friendships between the planets. So Sun, Moon, Jupiter and Mars are all friends, and broadly speaking, they do well in each other's signs. Saturn, Mercury, and Venus, they're all friends, and broadly speaking, they do well in each other's signs. So here, the moon in your chart is in a strong sign. However, it is also a chemodrama moon, which means an isolated moon. What does that mean? So you notice there's no planet here, and there are two factors here, but Rahu, or the nodes of the moon, don't count as company for the moon. So the moon either needs a planet with it or next to her. Yeah. However, you do have Neptune here, but Neptune is an outer planet, and it's not counted in the tradition of Vedic astrology as company. But what I found is outer planets tend to bring company to the moon later in life. But technically, this is an isolated moon. So in your response, how has feeling like the odd one out played out in your life as well? If you'd like to continue.
Since day one. Oh, let's just get, since day one. I've always felt different. I felt, aspects of not being in the right family, in the right time period, in the right, like just many different aspects. And so that is something that you kind of, it brings me back to the part about the illusion, and the true nature of who we are is, and this is just a way of putting it into words that we can maybe understand. For me, the true nature of who we are is love, and everything else is perhaps an illusion. So in that, I totally get it. I see things that are just like, yeah, they're there, but there's that just illusion to it. So I don't know, that something in that really resonates.
What I'll share with you is this, because for me, when I'm reading charts, when I'm looking at people's charts, it's much more akin to like reading music now. This is really how I see it. It's like reading music. Every planet is like an instrument, but it changes its tone and its rhythm and its tune depending which house it's in, which sign it's in, and which planets it's with. Yeah. Everyone's chart is unique, but there are certain factors that are sort of nailed on in a way. Yeah. One of them is Kemadruma moon. Now, don't worry, the moon moves very, very quickly. It's the fastest moving planet. It only spends about 2.5 days in each sign and only 1 day in each nakshatra. The moon can move 13 degrees, 20 minutes in 1 day. So that's like half a house almost. Yeah. A house is 30 degrees wide. So she's very, very quick. So there'll be times when the moon has lots of company, and there'll be times when she doesn't. For those people, when the moon doesn't have company, they have that Kemadruma moon. And I will guarantee you, all of my clients who have Kemadruma moon, they all feel like the odd one out to various degrees. Many of them have even had fantasies that the family that they're with is not their real family at all. They were actually adopted and left on the doorstep, or they fantasize about orphanages, even things like that. It can be that extreme. They just feel like they're otherworldly, that they're the odd one out in their family. How funny
it's
is that?
So perfect. It's wonderful. And I'm having as you're talking, it's like inspiring all of these shares. Totally. In my family, I have 3 siblings, and they're all D names. And when I was born, my parents had a D name picked out. When I was born, they were like, he's not that D name. Anyways, I ended up with the name Kevin, but all like through my childhood, I had an English accent. and I had darker
Really?
skin, and people
Wow.
would often say to me, like, they would ask, like, they would imply that he's
That you were
adopted,
foreign.
because I
Wow.
definitely, and I mean, yes, I look like my parents, but there was different things that, yeah, I fully understand that. And then the other part I want to go back to, because this actually goes into the work that I do. And if I heard it right, you said it in the ascending, has to do with the essence of who we are. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, so the ascendant is the demarcation point for the first house. So the
Okay.
ascendant is the sign that's rising on the eastern horizon at the time that you're born, but it
Mm,
sets up the whole chart. So literally, when you're actually born and you take your first breath, that is like the anchor point. You know, where you throw a dart
mm,
on a dartboard? That's what the ascendant does is, and it flavors that person's personality and how they come across, but also as well, it sets up the chart. So anyway,
right. And why that's so important is because in the work that I do, in the mediumship, um, reminding people or establishing that there's life after life, it's about capturing the essence of who people are. So that just really resonates. And I feel like I'm going to look into that.
aha, aha.
Hmm.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one and let's see who we've got here. So this is does this star, indicate that it, oh, okay. Oh yeah, someone's asking about membership. So light vocation, yes, if there is a star next to someone's name, it means that they are a member. Okay, let's move on to the next part. And what we'll see is, now, isn't that profound, isn't it?
It is. Hmm.
One square with a symbol, couple of symbols in there, and that in many ways has described some of the foundations of your life. This is how
Hmm.
powerful Vedic astrology is,
Hmm.
and we're going to keep moving round until we get round to the 12th house, and there's more and more layers that come. Okay, so the next house that's got planets in it, what have I written here as well? I've written here. So you have Mars and you have Jupiter. Mars and Jupiter together in your fourth house. Now, the fourth house is the heart chakra.
Mm.
Now, this is actually a very powerful combination that you have here because, first of all, you've got Jupiter in his own sign. So, whenever planets are in their own sign or friendly signs, the signs of their friends, or exalted, that planet becomes very powerful. It's very much able to do, to live out its full potential in many
Mm.
ways. Now, the Sanskrit name for Jupiter is Guru. Guru, which means what? Teacher. Yeah,
Mhm.
teacher, sage, learned one. It can also mean priest or priestess. Yeah. So in your
Mm.
case, priest energy. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Because you've got
Interesting. Yeah.
the priest effectively in his own sign and is with one of his best friends, Mars, who also does well in Pisces. Now, this is really interesting because the nakshatra, the star cluster that your Mars is in, actually speaks very specifically about some of your mediumship skills. So we're going back
Oh,
into that now. Really does.
wow.
So, yeah, this is all there. So, here we are, the fourth house. So I've got here the sensitive, compassionate, and spiritual warrior. Remember,
Mm.
Mars is a warrior, but when he's in Pisces, which is very gentle, becomes the spiritual warrior. Yeah. So the spiritual warrior who takes care of helpless creatures. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
I've got a nickname for Pisces, and I call Pisces Empath's Corner.
Oh.
That's what I call it. Yeah. Empath's Corner.
Mm.
So before, even if I hadn't had a conversation with you before, I'd look at your chart and I'd be like, I'm probably dealing with someone very psychic and very sensitive. So do you see how it builds on from the fourth
Yes.
house? And
Hmm.
planets are falling into angles. So they have what? Power. Yeah, remember I said any planet that falls into angle will have strength. It's got the hand on the steering wheel of your life. So here, Jupiter and Mars having a big impact. So I've put here, so here we are, helpless creatures, animal or human with empathy and compassion. So Mars and Jupiter in his own sign, Jupiter in his own sign, combine their strengths to give feisty yet sensitive heart. And then I'll read a bit more. So they combine their strengths to give feisty, sensitive heart. The fourth house, where Jupiter is acting exalted as if it's in the sign of Cancer. So what does that mean? An exalted planet is very, very powerful. It's almost a little bit like that planet's on steroids. Yeah. Now, Jupiter, Guru, becomes exalted in the sign of Cancer. Yeah. Because he and the moon are best friends and they have a lot in common. Now, although this sign is Pisces, his own sign is in the fourth house. But the fourth house is also relative to the sign of Cancer, because Cancer is the fourth sign. So this Jupiter is acting exalted. So it's almost like exalted compassion in the heart. Yeah. So very, very, very sensitive. And here you have Mars here, and it's in the nakshatra, which is called Uttara Bhadrapada. And you'll probably be thinking, oh my God, what does that mean? Yeah,
exactly.
Strange names, yeah? Throwing all this at you. Now, the Bhadrapadas, they are known, there's a little bit of a darker edge here. They are known, so Purva means former, earlier. Uttara means latter. So this is Uttara Bhadrapada. The Bhadrapadas represent the funeral cot. They represent the funeral cot. And here there are some tricky stars here because they deal with death and transition and afterlife. Isn't that interesting? Your Mars, which is planet of energy, planet of passion, is here in an angle with his best friend Jupiter, who is acting exalted, boosting this Mars, bringing out his best qualities even more. But he's sitting in Uttara Bhadrapada, which means he's energized by that nakshatra, which deals with spirituality, the afterlife. It deals with the electricity, the lightning strike of insight. It gives flashes of insight and the future, but it also deals with transition, the soul's transition from an earthly realm into passing through the transformation of death and beyond. Isn't that interesting, given that you're Leo? So what are your thoughts on that, where you've got all of that going on in your heart chakra?
I mean, I'm trying to wrap it up. I'm trying to make sense of it. Lots of new...
your hair getting curlier as this consultation
Totally. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I also am a Reiki master, so it resonates on that level as well. I mean, the compassion. I mean, basically what I'm getting... a sensitive psychic weirdo, which is totally me. With a really compassionate heart. My sometimes, to my own detriment, how deeply I heart into things, and learning to, as an empath, use it as a strength, because I think there was such a period of time where not a lot of talk about it or understanding or help around being sensitive or empathic. And so, it really, just everything just feels, although I'm hearing it now for the first time, I know it to be true. Like it's wild.
Yeah, it's one of these things. So, so many of my clients who come to me for consultations, so many now. And, because the thing is this, I mean, look, I just want everyone to know, Western astrology does still work. It does still work because no matter what software you use, the distances between the planets are still the same. We still track them in live time. However, Western astrology is pinned to a different part of the sky. It's seasonal. Yeah, it moves with the seasons. And what's been happening is that the stars, well, this is just physics, the stars move backwards by 1 degree every 71, 72 years. So that's not a big deal in a lifetime, but over hundreds of years, it adds up. So effectively, in a way, and I don't mean this to sound too bad to tropical astrology, but in the West, we're kind of out of whack. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not in alignment with the stars. This, because obviously this is sidereal astrology, this is actually where the stars and planets were at the time you took your first breath. This is why you recognize this so much. So many of my clients, the first 5 minutes, they're like, oh, but I've always identified as this, that, and the other. You know, 10 minutes into the consultation, they've just completely forgotten about that. And then they feel that they're being seen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that might be happening with you.
I mean, exactly. I was going to raise my hand in that. Exactly.
All right, let's move to the 5th house. Yeah, let's move to the 5th house. So now this is very interesting here. So put here 5th house. Now this is also very key. You've got Chiron, the wounded healer. So Chiron is an asteroid. This is not recognized by Vedic astrology. I include Chiron and I include Ceres as well because they reveal so much. So here we are. So Chiron, the wounded healer, and Ceres, the goddess of the harvest. Yeah. So it deals with unconditional love. Ceres deals a lot with unconditional love. It's almost like the love a mother has for her child, ideally. Not everyone's mothers are like that. If the moon is in Scorpio, then I know there's issues, but that's a sidetrack. Yeah. You've got your moon in Sagittarius. You're right.
Okay, good.
So here, so it deals with unconditional love, like a mother, but it can also deal with grandmother energy, daughter energy, which deals with Persephone, because Ceres is the Roman name for Demeter, goddess of the harvest, Greek goddess of the harvest, whose daughter was Persephone, who was abducted by Hades into the underworld. And it also deals with granddaughter energy. So, and it's in the 5th house of creativity and children. However, it's not always physical children. It means one's brain babies as well. Guess what? The 5th house is also means giving consultation and advice to others.
Interesting.
Which is something that you do, isn't it? And Chiron is what? The wounded healer, helping people heal, but giving it in a very kind of compassionate way, which is almost like a mother's love, which again backs up with this Jupiter in the 4th house in the heart chakra. So we see there's lots of compassion here. And what I've written here is that, so creativity and children and stuff like that, but women are likely key advisors that have shared a great deal of knowledge for you in your life. Yeah. And this also gives Kevin a great gift to nurture and counsel others. So how have women in particular been your counselors and advisors in your life? Because it's very prominent here.
Yeah. I mean, in the biggest ways, I actually think I had that. It reminds me of the conversation that I had on Linda G's channel about that. And they're they're my greatest supporters and allies and closest friends and confidants and clients. And, so women, I'm indebted to women. And you mentioned grandmother. And so that, her influence, and my mother as well, some of the closest people that have understood me even better than I understood aspects of myself, so it brings me to a question about that with people in our lives. Is it the similarities in the charts, or is it the differences in our charts that would create more or less compatibility with people? Because my grandmother, I would think, and I'm just making this up, you can let me know, that we would have compatible charts. And I don't even know what that actually means, but she's she's stepping forward in this. So
absolutely, because, and this is why I include, even though it's unconventional, they are so powerful. Chiron and Ceres reveals so much, because Chiron also shows potentially where we've received a wound in life. It's not always a wound, It can, but for a lot of people, it is. Sometimes it's physical, emotional, psychological, or spiritual, or it's where people give counsel and healing, or where they receive counsel and healing from others. So, because your Chiron is close to Ceres, which again, like I said, describes that energy, grandmother, mother, and daughter energy. Yeah. So here, these energies are blended and combined. So you can see that these matriarchs, in a way, have been a source of nurturing, security, advice, and healing. Yeah, because they're combined with that energy of Chiron. In regards to how similar your charts would be, with between you and your grandmother, you would have to kind of actually see the charts to see how they lay up. So oppositions and conjunctions. So when you got planets in the same house is often the case, or similar signs and stuff like that. But just looking at that combination, you can see here that that female principle, nurturing principle in particular, is very key in your life, and it's been something that would have been restorative, regenerative in some kind of way, particularly as well if you would have been having some of the upheavals that almost everyone has with Mula Nakshatra, because that's what it means, to tear up by the roots. So do you see there is this kind of balance in your chart where there's been these upheavals, yet you've had these matriarchs in your life to kind of be a source of stability and stay for you, even when your life has been tumultuous.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's your grandmother's energy coming through there. Now, if we go to the next one, we're going to go to the 6th house, and this is actually quite an obvious one, actually. So if we look here, so Sun with Ketu in sidereal Taurus. Yeah, so the sun represents the kingdom, yeah, that we're building this lifetime. So I put here, the kingdom is in the 6th house of health, healing, and overcoming obstacles. Surprise. So do you see how these themes keep layering up? Yeah. You've got the sun. The sun represents our vitality. It represents part of our soul's destiny and purpose. This lifetime, before we even know it ourselves, it's there. That's why it's like the kingdom that we're building this lifetime. It also represents a spark of the divine. Yeah, the oversoul. The sun is the oversoul for everyone on planet Earth. Yeah, wherever the sun is, that is our spark of the divine, where we are wanting to kind of make our way in the world, or make our market or impression on the world in some way. You got the sun in the 6th house, health and healing and overcoming obstacles. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll read on, and then here it is with Ketu. So if I look here, so where am I? Here we are. So health and healing, overcoming obstacles, Ketu in sidereal. So the kingdom is in the house of, like I said, help and healing, overcoming obstacles. So I've written here, now this may or may not be true. I've put here, the father may have a stubborn streak. Yeah. Does that resonate? Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Also, yeah, it's a classic. Yeah. It is a classic. The sun in the sign of Taurus will give someone guaranteed a stubborn father. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Because it's Taurus, the bull. Yeah. And the bull likes to do its thing its own way. And, you know, they set their mind on certain things and they're hard to budge. But inwardly, they may accept some of the things that you say, but they're not necessarily going to let it show. Yeah, that's just that's part of Taurus. Yeah, part of Taurus energy. So if we, and I've written here, however, the life's focus is on spirituality, which is Ketu as well, and healing, the 6th house. So here it also talks about good food. Yeah. Because Taurus is food, so it means quality as well, an appreciation for quality. 6th house also deals with food and diet and stuff like that. So having to, or either having to or wanting to eat quite a clean diet, nutritious diet, you know, with good foods and stuff like that. Quality things and grounding. Look at that, I put here, and grounding in the beauty of nature. Yeah. And there's also an element there of ceremony as well. Why do I say that? Because your Ketu, which is the moksha karka, liberation from this world, is in Kritika. Nakshatra. And that's about ceremonies of all kinds, spiritual ceremony. So how does that resonate with you with obviously the health and healing, but let's talk a bit more about food and nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm comfortable to share all aspects of my life, because it's in that we can continue to release and grow from it. So I have a past of eating disorder in my late teens, and worked in a famous world famous eating disorder clinic. And in that, my relationship with food was very different than, you know, the second half of my adult life. And so in that deeply resonates. I do eat very clean. And then the grounding, the nature, I moved into nature 6 years ago and literally changed my life, changed the course of my life with many different things. One of the big things was with spirit, my connection, my understanding, the communication. So that's huge for me. And then the last one was, what was the last part?
Things to do with ritual.
Oh, fascinated about, like, with ritual and ceremony. I have a deep fascination. The land that I moved to, we were supposedly the first residents. It was all forested. But I've had people that have come here and witnessed some of the ceremony or the energy of the ceremonies. I feel like I was called to this land partly because of that. I have a deep fascination with ceremony. It resonates different than most things in my life. So
very interesting that. Now,
yeah.
I had no idea that you were going to share what you just shared. And that is incredibly brave to do that. And just so you know, guys, you know, I checked in with Kevin just before, just to, you know, say, look, are you happy to talk about things? And of course, he is, like I said, I want you to feel comfortable to share what you feel that you can share. No pressure. But isn't it funny, because I had no clue about that at all. And I just said what I saw, and I knew that ceremony was important, that food will be crucial. But I didn't know you were going to say what you say. But yeah. Isn't that astonishing?
It's beautiful. I love it.
It's amazing. And this is why I'm so passionate about Vedic astrology, because it is amazing what comes out in a reading when I'm talking with my clients. And I've never met them before, and I just say what I see. I tune in with them, and of course I tune in with like the planets upstairs, and then things come out. But isn't that remarkable? So that, particularly that element of ceremony, a lot of that is coming from Ketu, which is the south node of the moon, which is the body without a head, and Ketu is the moksha karka. And what that means is, it means liberation from this world. Ketu is extremely spiritual. So you've got Ketu in a very spiritual nakshatra, Kritika, which is all about rites of passage, ceremony, purification. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow.
I love it.
Okay. Are you ready to move on to the next house?
Yes, please.
All right. Here we are. We're going to look at the 7th house. Now, the 7th house represents anyone that's not us. So it can represent our relationships, sometimes romantic relationships, marriage. But not only that, it also represents the outside world. It also represents business. Yeah. Now, if we look here, you've got something very interesting going on. If we look here, you've got Mercury, Saturn, and Venus all together. Those three are not only are they all friends, they are the business planets. Mercury, Saturn, and Venus deal with the realities of Earth school. Saturn deals with rules and regulations, government, the chores, necessities, backbone, getting through, surviving. Mercury deals with calculative abilities, adding things up, categorizing things accurately, deals with money as well. It's also known as the accountant of the zodiac. Communications of all kinds and travel of all kinds. And Venus is the planet of relationships, but not just relationships, art, beauty, the things that make life worth living. Many of us are down here on Earth school for Venus, and sometimes we get a bit too carried away because, She's the good life, yeah? But when Venus is strong, either in her own signs of Taurus or Libra, exalted in Pisces, or even strong in Gemini, she is said to give the gift of prophecy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So this is actually quite a complex combination you have here in your relationship/business house. So before I even read anything off, Saturn is a serious planet. Yeah. Now, there is a little bit of a bummer to Saturn. I call him Balloon Popper. Yeah. Pop, pop, pop. Planet of reality.
Yeah.
So you've got the harsh planet of reality with the relationship planet of Venus. Yeah. So we may not go into too much detail, but what this does mean, it means you take your commitments very seriously.
Huge.
Yeah. It's a big
Huge
deal. When you commit,
it's great. No, it's great, but then it can lead to disappointment when other people aren't in that same demonstration. It's actually something that I've had to work on and continue to have to work on, is that.
Yeah. Spooky, because I'm looking at that and I'm like, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I know what that means. Yeah.
And I'm a Gemini.
Yeah, exactly. So here you've got three factors. So even though your rising sign is Sagittarius, even though your rising sign is Sagittarius, and your moon is Sagittarius, and your sun is Taurus in sidereal, but in Western it would be Gemini. But part of the reason why you feel that Gemini energy so much and resonate with it so much is because you've got three planets there in Gemini, like a stellium. Yeah. So a stellium is when you have three planets or more in one sign. The more planets in a house, the more emphasis.
Okay.
If there's no planets, it doesn't mean that house is not working. It just doesn't mean it doesn't have as much emphasis. So you've got the three business planets, in a house of relationships and business and contracts, all working together. Saturn is starving a little bit. He does starve whoever he's with, even his friends, but don't worry about it. That's just Saturn. But you see here, there is a great fluidity, a great skill and talent when it comes to actually communicating with people in the outside world. Because Mercury is a communication planet and he's in his own sign. Remember, planets in their own sign become very powerful. So this Saturn is actually getting a bit of a boost, actually. So there's a little bit of starvation going on, but, basically Mercury's throwing the bread out and giving some to Venus as well. Venus is in the sign with her friend. Yeah, she's in the sign of Gemini, where Venus loves to be there. And that really increases the beauty of the speech. Yeah, it makes the person a very smooth talker. Can also give a smooth voice as well. You have quite a smooth voice. Yeah. And here, this is Saturn giving that steadfastness and that commitment. But there would have been issues potentially with relationships in the past of maybe holding on for too long, or over committing. So I'll read you off a little bit here. So I put here Mercury in own sign of Gemini with best friend Venus. Saturn adds seriousness and commitment to relationships, at times difficult and karmic. Yeah, so you've had some challenging relationships in your life that have been quite karmic in nature. Yeah, and it says here, but I've written here, not says, I wrote it, but much is learned. So I put here, excellent skills in communication, fairness, and negotiation, is very committed once an agreement is made. But there's more. There's more. This has a bit of an entrepreneurial energy to it, because the seventh house, like I said, is anyone that's not us, but you've got the three business planets here in a very social house, which deals with reputation and stuff like that. But guess what? Mercury is the planet of skills, dexterity.
Yeah.
So whenever he's strong, it will emphasize things to do with the hands. Yeah. Speed. Mercury is a very speedy planet. Venus is a planet of beauty. Like I said, it deals with beauty, the arts and stuff like that. Saturn is also a planet of skills. It means here, this is a person who is able to master quite a lot of detailed skills in the outside world, and possibly as well working with the public in some way. So how is that manifested in your life? That energy?
I love it. I post-secondary, after I graduated high school, started in business and then went into went into accounting and was going to become an accountant. And I was like, I had this moment where I was like, what am I doing? And I think my desire to be with people and in more conversation, or what I thought that would look like, I moved into studying psychology. So in a big way. Yeah, in a big way.
Now you see,
And
is that,
then,
yeah, go
yeah,
on.
and then the movement into from the psychology, and I worked in a counseling clinic, it literally closed down. There's a funny story about it. I was going in to ask for a raise. I had not got a raise in 5 years, and it wasn't personal, but I went to ask for a raise and got told that the clinic was actually closing down. So it brought me to the one of the main jobs that I've done for the last 21 years, 22 years. I'm a hairdresser part-time. I do my readings part-time and I do my hairdressing. So that creative component, yeah, so it all aligned in a great way with the business and the psychology, the hairdressing, the people, and then moving into readings. It's interesting to me. Very interesting.
It's so fascinating because what it is, as you can imagine, I do lots and lots of consultations, and part of being an astrologer is this funny thing because it's kind of part skill, part science, as it were, and part art
Yeah.
and intuition.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
learned to trust to say what I see. And
I
why
love it.
thank you. And why I come up with these little nicknames for little things here and there, it's just through observation of what actually happens. And isn't it
Mhm.
interesting? Because I said these three are the business planets. So I said you've got the business planets in the house of business. And guess what? Mercury, remember I said counting. He does a calculative ability. He's also
Mhm.
known as the accountant of the zodiac. And I
Oh.
didn't know that you studied business and you wanted to be an accountant. See, but then you can also see the hair skills as well, because Mercury is hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gemini as well deals a lot with hands, speed. Saturn is the planet of learned skills, yeah, that we perfect over time. And then Venus is what? Beauty, making something more beautiful. There you are, hairdressing skills.
Mhm.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Can
It's just
I
crazy.
add something? I
Of
keep
course.
getting this hit, and it is, I could totally be out in left field here, but I'm going to say it. There's something that you do within, there's something that you're doing in this that's very, very different. You're incorporating it all or encompassing it all. And there's an aspect, and I could totally be wrong in this, but I feel like you're tapping into, almost like the feel of like the Akashic records. When you're intuiting the extra information that you get, you're never wrong. That's what they're saying. You're never wrong in that, because it's coming from, it's separate in you. You're the conduit for
Yeah.
that, but there's something very different about this. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's and the more I do it, the stronger it gets. And someone was just saying, Earth Mama was just saying, she was like, Hogarth, you actually speak to the planets for heaven's sake.
Yeah. Hmm.
And as bizarre and as strange as that seems, but no, it's become a genuine thing for me. And I'll tell you something funny as well. I think you might like this little tidbit. I've got a friend of mine called Sarah. So Sarah, if you're watching, give you a little shout out. Now she has dreams about the planets and stuff like that as well. And but she has these more very kind of quite psychedelic dreams. But she's had dreams of me at gatherings with the planets, and I'm there talking about them. Or in other dreams, she's asked about me. She's been like, do you know my friend Hogarth? And they've been like, yeah, of course we do.
Oh,
She talks
wow.
to us all the time. So I've literally had, and I think one or two other clients have also seen me at gatherings with planets in their dreams, and they've just mentioned that to me. So I've, obviously, this is your reading, but there's one thing that is I've got a very unusual chart. But Rahu, the manifest point of destiny, which we'll talk about last in your chart because it's in your 12th house, wherever Rahu is, it shows that manifest point of destiny we're supposed to achieve this lifetime, essentially.
Mm.
Yeah, very important. And in my chart, Rahu is exactly on a star called Zosma. And Zosma is the star of astrology.
Oh, there you go. Mm-hmm.
I have no choice. Yeah,
Undeniable. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go around
Wow.
to the next house here. So now we're going to look at your 10th house. So I'm going to flip this up here, and it's going to be very interesting. Flip up the chart. I'm just going to read for you what the 10th house is all about. So there we go. Deals with public duties, career, presidents, reputation. Deals with bosses, fame, father's wealth, honors, vocation, purpose, status, government, and authority figures. It deals with highest achievements. It is a Kendra house, like I said, angular house, and it's Upachaya, which means it improves with time. So the 10th house is a big deal. Any planets in the 10th house will have a huge impact on the career. And we'll also speak what the career is about. Now, yours is very interesting, because if we look over here, you've got Pluto. Yeah, what's Pluto? Pluto is like a mini 8th house on his own. Yeah, now my nickname for the 8th house, you don't have any planets in the 8th house, but you got Pluto in the 10th. My nickname for Pluto is, or the 8th house is the house of sex, death, and rock and roll. It deals with the occult, the hidden, Kundalini energy, transformation, all of this stuff. So here you've got Hades, god of the underworld, which also deals with what? Death and transformation.
Yeah.
In your 10th house of career and highest purpose.
Oh, stop it.
There it is. Pluto, 10th house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the sign of Virgo, which deals with what? Health and healing again. Health and healing. That's what Virgo is about. The constellation of Virgo is not only known as Virgo the Virgin, but she's said to be holding a sheaf of wheat, and in the other hand, she's holding medicine. Yeah, Virgo is all about healing. Yeah, go on.
That's so fascinating because I have celiac. So, isn't that fascinating?
Wow. And if we think, remember the 6th house as well, which deals with diets. Yeah, I'll read for you as well. 6th house deals with health and healing, overcoming obstacles. Yeah. But one of the areas of the body it deals with is the stomach.
Say no more.
Digestion.
Yeah.
Just so you can see here, 1 minute, just so everyone can see. Yeah, my notes.
Yeah. Health and
digestion. Yeah. Food and diet.
Interesting.
Isn't that remarkable?
Yep.
So nailed here, it. Yeah, I know you would probably be thinking like, "Oh my God, what have I let myself in for?"
No, I love it. I love it.
Now, what's is very interesting here as well, because it's not only Pluto, god of the underworld, that you have in your career house, which means what? Transitioning as your career between elements to do with life and death. Yeah, afterlife. Pluto, yeah, god of the underworld. As the ancients used to say, the ancient Greeks, that's where everyone went. Yeah, they would go to the underworld, etc. All of that kind of stuff. But what's even more interesting is that it's in the nakshatra, which is called Hasta. And Hasta is the nakshatra which deals with hands. And what I have found what my nickname for this is magic hands. I call it magic hands. Why? Because so many of my clients who have a planet here, they've got a special, it means the hands have extra sensory abilities. They're brilliant with handicrafts, creating things, using the hands. Of course, you cut hair as well. You know, it's almost like, this is almost like an Edward Scissorhands energy you've got going on here a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah? But also deals with Reiki.
Oh, there you go.
This is what I found. Yeah. Now, isn't that profound? You are a man that talks about things that are beyond this realm. And you also do Reiki as well. There's Pluto in the 10th house. All right. We'll move on to the 11th house here. Look at that. The time has gone so quickly already. I can't believe it. We'll do a little bit extra. So here you have got planet Uranus in the 11th house. Yeah, in the 11th house. So what does that mean? So if we look here, So put here, Uranus, planet of astrology, technology, and esoteric sciences, and eccentricity, yeah, is in the 11th house of desires, dreams, and friends, social media, and community. Yeah. Isn't this interesting?
Yeah.
And it's in the nakshatra called Chitra, which is the divine architect. So this is wanting to create. So here, wanting to create something beautiful yet useful to share with like-minded people that may have been shunned by society for being different in some kind of way. So here you've got planet Uranus in the house of dreams and desires, great gains and stuff. But it can also deal with the elder sibling. Yeah. Do you have an older sibling? Or
I do.
Right.
I have an older sibling. Yeah.
Okay. So don't tell me anything about them. But what this would suggest is here. So this is the energy of you, but it will also carry the energy of your elder sibling as well, the eldest one. So, but here, look, it's in the nakshatra, which is called Chitra. And Chitra means the divine architect. So it means wanting to create something beautiful. It can literally deal with architecture, but it's the details. It's wanting to make something beautiful, yet practical, or even innovative. So for you, it makes sense because what? You're a YouTuber, yeah? You're starting to, literally build, because Uranus deals with technology, social media. Rahu deals with that as well. So does Mercury. All of those kind of electronic skills. But it's also very geeky. Yeah. And it's a bit out there. So this can also mean having unusual friends as well.
Yeah.
Diverse backgrounds. So I'm looking here, I'm like, wow. I'm like, you got some interesting friends. Yeah.
I do. I sure do.
Yeah, you definitely do. But it can also show if this is also talking about the elder sibling. Now, Mars represents siblings overall, but brothers in particular. And if you've got sisters, Venus will represent them. But it will show there's one of your siblings, possibly the elder one, could be quite geeky in some kind of way, or into tech, or maybe even a bit eccentric or unusual. Yeah, there can be an element there, or futuristic, interested in science or aviation, or here as well, because it's Libra. Libra is also about discussion, debates, ideas, culture, literature, stuff like that. So do you have like a sibling that's very intellectual in some kind of way, but they're unusual, they're slightly kooky? I don't know, that's what I'm getting, or geeky? Or...
Well, I almost feel like that's...
I mean, this is you.
I think I was going to say, I almost feel that is a little bit more of me, and how I see them is maybe a bit different than they would see themselves. But I've got 2 brothers and 1 sister. And so I see parts of that fitting each brother, if that makes sense. So
it's spread over. Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of both. I've got an older and a younger brother, so I'm in the middle. But definitely for sure, parts of what you said fit kind of each one.
Yeah, because sometimes as well, this can even deal with people that are like engineers or computer science, or they're just very curious about stuff. But also as well, there can be an element of unpredictability as well, because you're in a planet. See, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I'm like nailed it.
Yeah, because
and I just saw that there was 222, and 22 is my number, so we really nailed it there.
There we are. Brilliant. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening. So, yeah, there's an element of unpredictability there as well with the siblings, yeah, because this is, Uranus, it's an unpredictable planet. So interesting, this, isn't it? Now we come to the 12th house. The time has gone so quick. Let's see, someone's doing a little song here because you said you're in the middle, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, and Connie saying 22 is my number as well.
Oh, Connie, that's why I love you so much.
Oh, bless. So let's go to let's save the best for last. So here you are. We come to the 12th house. And in many ways, your first house and your 12th house are alpha omega on this one. And the energy combined really on its own explains so much of what your gifts are about, especially as well here, Ketu in the 6th. So look, we're looking at this axis here. Rahu and Ketu are always exactly opposite each other. Rahu is the north node of the moon. My nickname for Rahu is Gobble Gobble. Yeah, he's the head without a body. He's the mouth that can keep eating and eating. Yeah. He can also even deal with addictions and stuff like that. Very interesting, Rahu. But if we look here, your Rahu, manifest point of destiny, is with Neptune. What's Neptune? Neptune is the, I call it the planet of talent. Planet of talent. Neptune dissolves the boundaries between the three-dimensional world and the realms beyond. Yeah. So there's that. It's a very, very spiritual planet, particularly when it deals with the collective, and very closely associated with music and painting and stuff like that. But there's more. You not only have Rahu with Neptune, but you've got Rahu with Neptune in the 12th house, which I call an oceanic house. It's an oceanic house. 4th house is like a swimming pool in your backyard. Yeah, you can see a nickel even down there. It's your home growing up. 8th house is a bit like visiting a lake. You're familiar with the land, but you don't know what's at the bottom of the lake. Yeah, that's why the 8th house can be so tricky. The 12th house is oceanic. It deals with the collective unconscious. My nickname for this is the land of far, far away. Deals with
that land.
Yeah. If I read off to you what the 12th house means, now not all of this will necessarily be relevant, but a lot of it will. And I'm just going to read this off for you. So it deals with aviation and unspoilt nature. Yeah, unspoilt nature. So it can deal with loss, so endings and beginnings, beginnings and endings. It's like the world card in tarot. It deals with retirement, rest, research. It deals with secrets, holidays overseas, imagination, confusion, spiritual retreats. I think you've done 1 or 2 of those in your lifetime, haven't you?
Yeah, 1 or 2.
It can deal with hospitals and prisons, yeah, believe it or not. It can deal with foreign income, sometimes secret affairs. It deals with bed pleasures. It can deal with expenses, hidden enemies, endings, like I said, but beginnings. Watery places. Yeah. It can deal with self-undoing, but it can deal with outer space. Yeah. It also deals with the feet, charity, forests, past life, and islands.
Oh, interesting.
And you have the god of the sea in a water sign, in an oceanic and psychic house, with Rahu, manifest point of destiny right there, in the nakshatra, which is called Anuradha, which means to know God as a divine friend.
Oh, wow.
So do we see there? Those 2 houses, if we just took those 2, we could ignore effectively the rest of the chart and just put those 2 in there. That is the essence of what your soul is here to do in this lifetime.
Yeah. That's it.
Isn't it? Unspoilt nature, all of that stuff. And Anuradha, it's a part of Scorpio. These are both planets in Scorpio. Scorpio means to go to the depths. Yeah, the real depths. Anuradha, there was a story where Krishna was going to die. And a rishi gathered all of his friends and family together to say, look, unless one of you sacrifice yourself for Krishna, he's going to die. Everyone, all his wives even were like, I love you, Krishna. Yeah, but you know, I can't do it because I have to go through all these cycles of hell and all these different kind of things. But then Radha steps forward. She says, I'll do it. I love Krishna so much, I'm prepared to go through the trials and tribulations. This nakshatra is considered one of the most devoted nakshatras out there. This is about some of the deepest love that human beings can muster in their soul.
Wow.
Because Radha went through all of the trials for her love for Krishna. Yeah. And your Rahu is here. And what I wrote here, I put in 12th house, I put Rahu in the deep, dark waters of Scorpio in the 12th house with Neptune, god of the sea. And what I've put here, reaching to the deepest depths of the ocean floor, in a way, of human experiences, Neptune dissolves the boundaries between 3D realities and beyond. Yes, so it's the gifts of Rahu and Neptune working together, which helps you astral project and just leave your body in a way. Yeah. So Rahu can become otherworldly. Yeah. To extremes in some ways. I put here deep psychic intuition is part of the manifest destiny this lifetime, because Rahu's here. Yeah. Helping others find their way. And also as well, all the other outer planets are retrograde. So it means that you've come back to complete some spiritual business to the benefit of the collective. Yeah. Your Pluto is retrograde, Uranus is retrograde, and your Neptune is retrograde. It means they're all close to Earth at the time. It means they were more powerful, but it also means that there's a bit more karma on there. You had a lot of business to come back and finish, and they all shape the collective. And Rahu is here in that 12th house. So part of your life purpose is to come and help with the collective in that kind of way. And I'll let you have the last few words. What do you think about that?
I mean, my mind is blown in a way that, like, I've had my chart done before, but never like this. And what the big difference is, I maybe took 50% of what I was told or what I read in the other the other versions or other types of readings, and this one resonates. Like, it's hard to sometimes acknowledge the aspects that are not pleasant or that are really 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 nice. I think we can struggle with that either way, but in this there's a knowing that everything that came forward, that's who I am. Like, in all of this, I wouldn't dispute anything in it. And so I feel so inspired from it. And I mean, I think everyone needs to have this done. Like, I can't wait to watch it back, to really let it, sink in that much more, to hear it again. But it's, I'm so honored. I'm so privileged that you put this out there and we did this. Like,
my pleasure.
I'm a bit embarrassed because I'm so grateful. So thank you. What a wonderful gift you have. Because it's more than just, this is the difference. And I want people to know this. Nothing in what you just presented felt like it was just from a textbook. And I think that's the big point. And I'm maybe downplaying it a bit, but that was part of my experience in past readings. And this just, not for 1 minute did I go there. So just thank you. Thank you for this.
My pleasure. And thank you so much. And thank you as well. That was very brave of you to also share as well. But there is that strength there as well in being able to be, vulnerable. You really didn't know what I was going to say, because I didn't give him any. I said, look, I'm going to read your chart. I'm just going to go there. Yeah. And, and of course, sharing what you felt comfortable to share. But also as well, I just hope that was, I'm glad it was helpful for you, but it can also show you as well the planetary effects, what helps anchor your talent. And you're living your dharma. You are doing the right thing. I mean, we could have gone, there's not enough time to go into the Navamsha, but just from your main chart, your D1, we can see here all of those elements of your life and how they've all contributed to bring you to this point now, which is that further unflowering and the unfolding of your life. And also as well, part of how your manifest destinies being that guide for other people as well, because you are extremely compassionate person, even though sometimes here with Pisces, it can be challenging setting boundaries. It's it's one of those things. But we can see how much it's almost, for me, it's like looking at your chart, it's like compassion in motion, and where you're that kind of spiritual warrior in a way, a gentle spiritual warrior, but a warrior nonetheless, bringing forward this stuff. And of course, with your channel and all that stuff. So thanks for sharing your gifts and talents with us. I will put your website in the description. I've just got to remember. But can you just tell us your website for anyone that would like to have a consultation with you?
My website is www.thehealingmedium.ca.
CA.
Yeah. Oh, and that actually, you just reminded me, and that was the, this is weird, but I had a photo shoot of my hands, if you can believe it. And my hands, and you were mentioning that with the hands, they're on my website. So those are actually my hands.
There we are. You see, everyone, Hasta Nakshatra. Well, it's been wonderful. So of course, it would be great to have you back on. I've got this idea of maybe like once a month, something like that, where I have people on, the Wednesday slot to give, these different insights. So I think next time maybe we'll do some tarot and live readings for people, something like that. So we'll have a quick chat off camera to set up the next one. Thank you so much for sharing. That really was a very interesting show. Thank you, everyone, as well, for joining us this evening. Time to go. And till the next time, folks. Till the next time. All right. Bye-bye for now. See you on Saturday. Bye.